Max never liked his stepfather. He was always rude, never smiled, and seemed to have a short temper. But Max never imagined the truth about his stepfather until one fateful night. It was a full moon, and Max stayed up late to finish some homework. He heard a strange noise outside his window, like an animal howling. Max looked out and saw his stepfather walking across the backyard, his hands turned into claws, his eyes glowing in the moonlight. Max was terrified. He'd heard stories about werewolves, but he'd never believed they were real. Now he realized that his stepfather was one of them. Max decided to do some research on werewolves. He discovered that they are vulnerable to silver and that they transform only during the full moon. Max knew he had to protect himself and his mother. The next day Max went to a pawn shop and bought a silver necklace. He also convinced his mother to go with him for the weekend to a remote cabin in the woods. Max hoped that isolation would keep his stepfather at a distance. In the cabin, Max and his mother settled down for the night. Max kept the silver necklace close, just in case. But as the night drew to a close, Max heard clear signs of the werewolf's transformation. The sound of bones breaking, growling. Max knew that his stepfather had followed them to the cabin. He locked the doors and windows, but he heard his stepfather trying to break in. Max grabbed the silver necklace and braced himself for the worst. When the door finally swung open, Max stood his ground. His stepfather entered the hut, growling and gasping. But when he saw the silver necklace, he stopped it in his tracks. Max explained that he knew the truth about his stepfather and that he was armed with silver. His stepfather tried to convince Max that he could control his transformations, but Max was not convinced. Eventually, Max and his mother left the cabin and never looked back. They knew they could never live with a bloodthirsty werewolf, even if he was their stepfather. Max discovered the horrifying truth, but he also learned to stand up for himself and his loved ones. As for his stepfather, he continued to wander through the woods on a full moon, howling at the moon and looking for his next victim.